and welcome to Kentucky Brew Reviews. I'm Special K. So tonight we're going to do something just a little bit different than what you guys are used to. Catfish Radar and I attended the Bourbon and Beyond Festival over the weekend, and we decided to shoot a bunch of footage. So we cut together all this footage, and I'm going to narrate over top of it, just to let you guys see what we did. And yeah, we had a great time, and I hope you enjoyed the footage. The merch and t-shirts at Bourbon and Beyond were pretty solid. The Bourbon and Beyond t-shirts were around 25 to 30 bucks, and there were a lot of variety in those. And they obviously had band t-shirts as well. Small bands like White Reaper would probably be like $25 a t-shirt, or maybe $20. And then the Foo Fighters are going to be upwards of $30, $35 for a t-shirt, which is normal concert or festival prices. Now the only issue I had with a lot of the merch was the vendors did not take debit or credit cards, which nowadays is kind of strange. Now there were a ton of ATMs everywhere, but then if you go to an ATM, you have to have the ATM fee, which sucks, and you know, nobody wants to pay that. And it was the same with a lot of the food vendors and drink vendors. Now, some of the larger drink vendors and larger food vendors did take debit and credit cards, but a lot of them did not. This is the Tiki Barrel Bar. This was our first stop for the day. It was unbearably hot during most of the festival, so the first thing we needed was a drink, and this place happened to have bourbon slushies. They're these huge slushies in these big novelty cups. I think they're made with Jim Beam, and they had two styles. They had the Bourbon Smash and the Bourbon Rita. Now we opted for the Bourbon Smash, which honestly it didn't specify what is in each one, but it kind of tastes like tea, fruit, and bourbon. Good stuff.
And we're here at the Tiki Barrel Bar. I just bought this absolute monstrosity. It's called the Bourbon Smash, and it tastes like bourbon and fruits. I'm gonna die.
This was the Larceny Bourbon tent. It used to be the Jailhouse Barbecue, and they had like Boss Hogg's barbecue there, which is like an awesome local barbecue place here in Kentucky. They do like pulled pork nachos and pulled pork sandwiches and stuff like that. I guess they ran out of barbecue at some point, because when we got there they were only doing drinks. They were also doing this weird giant beer pong thing with these red balls and this garbage can you can see here. They were giving away prizes, so I think if you made it in one of the barrels, you got whatever prize is in the barrel. I believe Catfish got a beanie, and I actually got a shirt out of it, so it was pretty cool. Free merch is always good. So the next place we went to was the Silver Dollar Hunters Club. It actually looked like a real building, but if you go on the inside, you can kind of tell it's actually a tent, which is pretty cool. It looks like in the inside, like the most stereotypical, like redneck bar you can think of. You know, it has like deer heads everywhere and buffalo heads and, you know, stuff like that. But I mean that in a good way. I mean, it was still a pretty cool place. We didn't stay very long because it was pretty crowded. Again, it was so hot out, so everybody was crowding to any shelter they could find. So they're in here, they're in all the main tents, all the Jack Daniels tents, anyone they could find. Everybody was seeking shelter. The next tent we hit up was one of the biggest ones. It was the Big Bourbon Bar. So this was home to just about all the bourbons you can get at the festival. There were a few smaller tents around for some more craft-esque bourbons, but this is where a lot of the higher-end ones were. The prices on the bourbons were pretty universal around the festival. They range from $12 to about $15 on the high end, 12 being cheaper. So a little pricey, but again, it's a festival, so it wasn't too bad. Again, there was a lot of people under here. It was really, really hot. In the center stage there, they actually had a like a dance floor, so they would have various like dancing demonstrations throughout the day, and then for certain times of the day they would have like free dance. So they had a ton of people dancing and hanging out in that area. If you're you're into that thing, it's definitely a cool thing to have at this kind of festival. The next tent we hit up was the Knob Creek tent. Now, we frequented this one a few times during the festival. It was probably one of our favorites. I know it's Catfish's favorite bourbon, and it's definitely in my top 5 for sure. Kind of a small tent, nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. They had this really, really cool display once you get in that shows the different stages of aged bourbon. Starts out, from the white dog, and then it goes on in various stages of aging in the barrel, it's pretty cool. It's nice to see. A lot of outdoor games going on. I know a lot of the tents had cornhole boards set up. Some of them had like ring toss. Other ones had various outdoor games, like you saw the Larceny tent earlier. They had their garbage can beer pong. Now this next tent we hit up was easily one of the most popular tents of Bourbon and Beyond. We went all 3 days to the festival, and every day, no matter what time of the event, even early on in the day when there's not a lot of people there, there was a line. Now, I know they were doing bourbon slushies and a lot of other stuff, and as you can see, like, a lot of these people already have Maker's Mark cups in their hands. I guess they're going back for seconds and thirds. They also had this weird selfie thing going on. If that's your thing, it was pretty popular. I know Radar got in on it. If I can find the picture, I'll try to post it in the video. This next bourbon tent was Basil Haydens. Now, I'm not too familiar with this one, but I heard a lot of people talking about it. Apparently, they've been around a while, but, like I said, we've never had it on the show, and I don't think I've even ever seen it, at least anywhere around us. But I'm definitely going to have to check it out. It is made in, apparently, Claremont, Kentucky, which is right down the road from the studio, so it's definitely worth a try, for sure. I can't miss out on a giant Jenga game either, especially with a dad and son. Oh, poor SoCo. I think the entire time we were at the festival, I didn't see anybody with any kind of SoCo drinks going on. There was a guy at the booth, but I think he took off. I mean, you're at a bourbon festival. I wouldn't think Southern Comfort would be particularly popular, especially a Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Kentucky's very proud of their bourbon, and, if you're from Kentucky, you're going to be drinking bourbon. That's just what it is. Now, this whole area back and towards the back, there was like a lot of like tobacco stuff. There was like that Leap Vapor and like a few other snus stuff. Grizzly Dip, and I think Al Capone cigars. If you're into that, that's cool. It's not really my cup of tea. But apparently, what I was told, the Leap Vapor place was giving you free vapes if you gave them a pack of cigarettes or something. So that's interesting. Also, you can see in the back there that there's another stage. At this event, there was actually a total of 5 stages. So there's the 2 main stages. There's like a medium-sized stage, which is the one in the back here. And then you have 2 side stages. The 2 side stages were for bourbon master distillers and bourbon talks and stuff like that. We mentioned that in our top 5 reasons to attend Bourbon and Beyond. And this backstage back here is a lot of bluegrass and local stuff. So it really had something for everybody at this festival. Now, this wouldn't be Kentucky Brew Reviews if we didn't talk about the beer at the festival too. So there was a okay selection of beer at the festival. From what I saw, from what people were drinking, a lot of people were obviously drinking bourbon, but there was quite a few people drinking those natty seltzers. Those were pretty popular in front of a herd, mainly because they're like $6 a piece, which is pretty cheap. I think they were charging about $9 for Bud Light for a 16-ounce pint, which is a little steep. But you can get a pint of Lagunitas for like $10. So, I mean, I would go with Lagunitas any day of the week. And there were a ton of people drinking those around. I even saw a few people with some Shock Top and some Budweiser. But look, the seltzers and the Lagunitas were like the main choice for, it looks like, most people. Now, at this festival, there were these 2 huge Jack Daniels tents. They were super nice inside, and there's always a ton of people in them. They had like 2 or 3 different bars. They were selling their regular Jack Daniels and Coke, and then their new Applejack and Coke, which hopefully we can review sometime soon. Not a ton of people were actually drinking the drinks. I think they were just hanging out in the tent because there were a ton of seats. It was cool. And then they actually had some TVs with the sports balls games going on, so I'm sure people were really into that. Now, this next tent was right up my alley. It was the classic throwback lounge tent. So it's Bullett's tent, sort of. They weren't actually selling alcohol in there, I don't think, but they had nice seats in there, some tables, and they had some awesome arcade machines, and Miss Pac-Man and Galaga and like a multicade. So a bunch of cool stuff. I'd love to see more like arcade machines at festivals, and I'm pretty sure they were free play too. I never got a chance to play any because there was always a huge line, and again, like, we were pressed for time the entire time since we were doing distiller interviews and, obviously checking out the music and stuff. There's so much wonderful food at Bourbon and Beyond this year. I mean, pizza and like tacos and weird wraps and anything you can think of. They had some noodles that were going around. I could never find out where people were getting those from, but I saw a ton of people going around with these like noodle containers. So as you can see, they have like places like Joella's, which is like a staple of any festival, and then you have a ton of pizza places like Spicy Pie and Tumbleweed and River Road Barbecue, Boss Hogg's Barbecue, a ton of local stuff, 502 Cafe. I could keep going for days. I mean, there was just so much great food there, and that makes a good festival, really. Food and booze, of course. This is a pretty good little cocktail area. It's kind of like a make your own cocktail. I guess you can pick your bourbon and then pick your drink. So they were making like old fashions, paper planes, Manhattans, whiskey mules, brown derbies, stuff like that. Old fashioned and Manhattan seem to be like an ongoing theme. I know they were talking about those a lot at the bourbon stages, and highballs. So that's interesting. It's nice that you can pick your whiskey. I know a lot of places they'll just do like a well whiskey when you're making, a mixed drink. But it's nice you have a choice. Now, Catfish is of course hungry as always, so he's going over to get a piece of pizza from the Spice Slice, and he unfortunately gets pineapple and pepperoni. And everybody knows pineapple does not belong on pizza.
Flop. Fantastic.
Pineapple does not belong on pizza. On to the Lagunitas beer tent. So Lagunitas is here. They had a pretty great selection of beer. They had their Sonoma Farmhouse Brett Stout and like Little Something Hazy Ale, Daytime IPA, Czech Pilsner, Super Cluster, stuff like that. And they also even had drafts. So you could get a 12 ounce or 16 ounce on some draft beers like the stouts for $10 to $12. Then they also had 16 and 20 ounce cans, again for $10 and $12, which is pretty good for a festival considering, like I said earlier, Bud Lights and Budweisers are both $9 a piece. I mean, why not just get a craft beer at those prices? Also, like, I was kind of disappointed. Not saying like Lagunitas is bad. I mean, they make great beer, but there was not one local brewery here. I mean, not even one. There was no Country Boy, no Alltech, no West Sixth, you know, no Against the Grain. I mean, that was kind of disappointing. I know it's a bourbon festival, but I mean, there should be at least, you know, represent some kind of local beer. Now, on to the Metallica alcohol tent. They were selling the Internight Pilsner and the Metallica Black and Whiskey, as well as a slew of various cocktails involving the two. The tent was called the Boilermaker. They had some pretty good-looking cocktails. The prices were about the same as what you'd expect, like the rest of the alcohols at the festival. Now, we had a lot of the whiskey, and the whiskey is great. The beer's solid, but the whiskey is really, really good. So if you guys haven't had it, you should definitely try it. We'll have our review out, hopefully the same day this video releases. And that link will probably be in the description. There's a ton of cool art installations in the area. There's like these big square signs. You see them in a few of the walking sections of the videos. And they also had like a lot of like stalls selling stuff as well, but we didn't check too many of those out. We did check out a few of the art areas. This one we're going into now it's got some cool like I would call it like nerdy art, with like it's music themed, some of it's like alcohol themed, some of it's like video game and like I guess like 80s and 90s like cartoon vintage themed. You even got a Robert Smith from The Cure picture here at the end that I'm quite a big fan of. Here's some cool paintings of like bourbon bottles and alcohol and like themes with like, I don't know, like bourbon and animals, and some of it's like there's some PBR art. My personal favorite is this dog holding a can of Natural Light. Next, we checked out this guitar tent, and it was pretty cool. Out front, they had a guy spinning a wheel to get a chance to like win a guitar or something. They were doing a lot of those at the festival. They were selling chances or giving away chances to win like very patriotic or like bourbon themed guitars, which is pretty cool. So inside the tent, there's like a bunch of very unique guitars. A bunch of musicians checking them out. I don't know if they were like actually selling them or it was just like they were just showing them off, kind of like a trade show or something. But I definitely wasn't expecting to see like a lone guitar booth at this festival. It's very interesting. Now, on to the VIP section. So they had two VIP sections. The one we're going into now is their regular VIP section. It's called the Mint Experience. The other VIP section is called Beyond VIP. They do like free massages and like catering and stuff over there. It's exceptionally expensive. This VIP section is pretty nice. You have pretty much all the amenities that you have outside with the exception of a few less food vendors. But as far as alcohol goes, all the bourbons and drinks you want are still available in this area. You also have like lots of nice seating. There's like hammocks and like swings, and then there's this huge tent as well that's like got AstroTurf down, a bunch of TVs. The bathrooms are a big draw, at least for me personally. Porta potties aren't the best thing. So in the VIP section, you actually had some actual bathrooms with running water and stuff, and you actually had there's like bathroom attendants there, so they didn't get like too gross. But just like in any festival, even in the VIP sections, the bathrooms are still like a little long. The other nice thing about the VIP section and the Beyond VIP section is there's a fenced off area in the front of the bourbon and barrel stages, so the two big stages. So you essentially get front row, like no matter what. They also had this like Oasis thing back here that had like Tito's like vodka guys giving away some like merch and stuff like that. And there's also like a massage tent back here. I guess if you need a massage, that's cool, I guess. These are the two smaller stages I was talking about earlier. Now the left one here, the one that says Kentucky Gold at the top, this one was like for like the master distillers and other big names in the industry to come and talk about bourbon and other stuff. We checked it out for a little bit. It was pretty cool. And the right stage had like a lot of chefs and stuff like that, cooking demonstrations. It was pretty cool. Like there was so much to do here, like that you never really got bored. There was always something for everybody. All in all, we had a really great time at Bourbon & Beyond this year. They had a super great lineup, probably one of the best I think they've ever had, and I'm looking forward to even a stronger one next year. This is a new style of video for us, so if this is something you guys like or you want to see more of, please leave a comment down below and make sure you hit that like button. I'll also leave a link in the description to our Metallica Blackened review and also some interviews we did on site. So please check them out. I'm Special K, and thanks for watching.